Yo, so I want to talk about my little FM save here that I'm doing. Basically, I set myself a little challenge. Basically, no coaching badges, no experience, all bottom of the barrel, with one league loaded. And I could load one more league per trophy that I want. So if I want a trophy, I could load one more league and then keep going. So I was like, what is the worst league that I can load to start? That is only, since I can only load one league, I need to load a country that only has one league. So I chose Singapore. Now, the Singaporean Premier League, this ended up being a really bad decision because basically the Singaporean Premier League is bugged in this game, and I didn't know that. But basically, they sack everybody immediately, and then after they sack everybody, they never hire them. So if you go to the job center, um, to job security, like you see, they're all available. However, you can't, like, you can try applying or declare interest, but they won't hire you. So that was a little bit of an issue. But either way, before I even knew that, I already decided I wasn't going to start here because I had nothing and no jobs were available when I started. Afterwards, of course, everybody got sacked. But at the beginning, I just looked at the available jobs and I was like, what can I get that could maybe earn me a trophy? Now, there were a few national team jobs because, of course, national team trophies, any trophy in Football Manager, youth, whatever, is a thing that counts. So I was like, okay, there was a Saudi Arabia under 20, which was interesting. They were the latest champions of the under 20 Asian Cup. However, I chose to go for the Italy under 19s, the Italy U19s. Where even is it? But basically, how do I search this? So yeah, the Italy under 19s. Basically, they were the later champions in the under 19, and I felt like, okay, they could do well, right? They can be competitive with the other under 19s, and if I can just out tactic some of the other teams like France, Germany, or England, I should be able to win it. Well, basically, actually, it's ended up being really interesting because basically, for the start, I had like players like Sharon Doer for maid, and I managed to beat Scotland and Northern Ireland rather easily. However, there ended up being a little bit of a problem as we reached these months and September hit. I only had Singapore loaded, which means the youth teams for every European nation didn't have players. The younger players just weren't there, which means nobody had players. Nobody had players, which means heading into these results, like these are random players that glitch out. These are all gray outs. No team here has players. Now, I still managed to win in the first qualifier, qualifying round, here against Switzerland, Hungary, and Germany. And then, not sure how, to be honest. Again, everybody had grayed out players, so I'm not sure if it was the reputation or however the gray outs work. No idea how they work in this game, but we still managed to win considerably. And then March came by, and this became a big issue. Um, with the same system, we were still struggling. We drew to Sweden after going 2-0 down. We had a little bit of a bad system. And then we incredibly lost to Greece. Greece scored 2 goals later on, and we lost. Now, funnily enough, by then I actually thought we were eliminated. So I skipped past this Czechia match. I sim past it, and I was like, okay, we're not qualifying to the under 19 Euros. But actually, I was very wrong because um, basically, if we go to the fourth round, I didn't know. First place qualifies, but also the best second placers. And through a miracle, with 4 points, only 4 points, we managed to, within five groups, be in the top best too. As you can tell, one win, one draw, one loss. So that was very impressive. But then by the time of the under 19 Euros, this was July, which means that the youth academies of the teams have already started to get new gens, which means here we had players. all of the bigger nations had players because the clubs have started to get new gen. So I was still like, okay, this ain't a bad decision. We still got Serie A teams making players, which are going to be some of the best in most other nations, and making youth talent. And yeah, it worked out pretty well. We managed to beat Spain in a thriller of a match. We managed to beat Northern Ireland, benching everybody because they already won 6 points, meaning that against Portugal we could be more fit. Even though we were losing, we managed a crazy equalizer, crazy goal, and then an extra time, we just had more energy. And against the Netherlands, a little bit of a cagey match, but we managed to win it, which was a big deal. So yeah, that was huge. We managed to win it because I was really worried that if we're stuck at Italy under 19s for ages, maybe the talent pool just is never going to be as good, and Spain's going to have a crazy under 19, and we're never going to be able to win. They managed to do that, and then I loaded up Hong Kong as the next league. However, no jobs were available. Everybody in Hong Kong is tired. So I decided to just keep it moving. I was like, okay, we qualified for the under 20 Euro, no, for the under 20 World Cup. So maybe we can play in that. No, they have their special under 20 Italy. So I couldn't manage that. Unfortunate because we did qualify in it for them, but no. But either way, while I was waiting for jobs to appear, the Singapore ones had opened up, but again, those don't work. I was checking for clubs here. And in the meanwhile, I was doing my extra qualifiers, easy 4-0, 5-0, 7-0. These clubs didn't have players. Here we got a draw against Spain and winning in Netherlands. Everything was going great. And in the under 19, again, I couldn't repeat a win. So if I won the under 19 Euros, it wasn't again. I wasn't going to necessarily earn much. How it was like, it might give me some reputation. I didn't have any club to manage anyways, but I lost handily to Portugal. Oops. Drew to France, unfortunate because we were leading 2-0. And then afterwards, if we had won like 5-2, we would have won. 5-1, we would have qualified, but we were struggling. As you could tell, we went behind and we savaged it at the end. So we weren't able to quite survive there. Um, and then after this tournament, I was like, okay, we're not playing the Under 20 World Cup. This is the only trophy that the Italy Under 19s can fight for. So I was just like, okay, let's dip. So then I resigned and I started focusing in on what jobs I could find. Now, soon enough, a job opened up because it was the end of the season. It was July, it was August, right? Which means a new job had opened up for this club called Wing Yi. Now, Wing Yi Property is a little small club from Hong Kong, which isn't actually a top division club to start off with, as you can tell. Their only history is 7, which means they weren't in the first division when it got loaded in, which means that yeah, it wasn't. It was a newly promoted club, so we got in there, and there are many potential competitions because they have a reserve and an under 18 to be exact. So let's get specific. Basically, I started getting a million players. I was just like, okay, let's sign a billion players. Let's get a reserve team on the board. Let's get an under 18 team on the board and then start fighting for these trophies. Now, I overspent the wage bill by double. I doubled the wage bill. I wasn't thinking about it. So I doubled the wage bill, which was a lot of trouble. So I was like, okay, I need to win a trophy and get out of here. And otherwise I might get sacked for ruining, the vision, which is to keep up on the wage bill. So I'll show you how it went. Now, this is a friendly cup. This doesn't count because I set it up. It has to be a trophy within Football Manager, the game, within the database. So this doesn't count. We did win it. Um, but yeah, the Premier League, we weren't good. Like again, I just kind of signed random players because again, there was no staff in this team. I signed things on a whim. No scout wanted to sign up in the first few months because we didn't have any reputation. So I signed random players, intermediaries or whatever, and we managed to get a few results. And the Sapling Cup also didn't go very well. We were starting to get our system together, but in general, the bigger teams like a Lehman, like a Kitchi, they could just they could just win. They're the big clubs in the nation. So that's that. The Sapling Cup also didn't go well. The Sapling Cup basically forces you to have three under 22s from Hong Kong, and we had two, which were both playing in the under 18s. The under 18s was a completely empty field of players. Nobody was there. It was all gray outs, but it was just those two players. So they had to play on this and that, and we needed a gray out goalkeeper to play. So it was a little bit of a nightmare. So the Sapling Cup didn't end up going well. We ended up fifth in this group. If you check last season, as you can see, we ended up fifth in this group. Didn't go well. 10 points, 3 wins, 6 losses, 1 draw. Mildly better than North District. If you're wondering why we don't have any logos, again, this is completely stock FM. That was a challenge, so I wanted to do. Not even let something have a chance. So no logos, no nothing. Now, the FA Cup. This I got really annoyed because this match was bullshit against the Hong Kong under 23s, which is the team that ended up getting relegated from the first division. In that season, yeah, unfortunately, it got knocked out. But basically, we had like so much XG. We had like 2 XG into the 90 minutes, and then we just got tired. Then we just had were more tired, so we conceded some goals. Sucks. It really, really sucks. Now, the Senior Shield, we were on a little bit of a good roll, and it showed because we managed to 1-0 this team, Hong Kong FC. Um, this team is surprisingly enough allowed more registration than usual. They can have 8 foreign players instead of 6. I'm not sure why. Something. They have a lot of English players, so that's why. And then legendary shootout against Lee Man, which is the team that I believe ended up winning the league. As you could tell, 90-minute equalizers, survive an extra time, missed the first 2 penalties, and still win. Somehow, this Chang Hei Yin for Lee Man missed both penalties. Yeah, we ended up going the a full cycle around, and we won like 11-10 on penalties. It was absolutely crazy. Yeah, we ended up going to the final of the Senior Shield, and I was like, okay, this could be a chance to win a trophy. However, unfortunately, Kitchi was in the final, and Kitchi is just a little bit too good. So a few months later, they managed to get away. Annoying because we were actually competitive. We were never better though. We didn't really deserve to win this match. So the fact we even got it to extra time was kind of crazy with that 81st minute equalizer after we started going attacking and stuff. But no, we didn't manage to do much. They scored with this player right here. Um, so yeah, not great. So we weren't able to win this trophy. The Premier League, we had a good spell here in the middle of the Sapling Club where we won 4 matches in a row. However, then at the end it got real bad. Like we were a mess. I tried switching formation and it didn't work. Um, and it was kind of just I was distracted. Mainly, I wasn't focusing on this Premier League campaign because of the other teams. The other teams are fighting for things. So let's start off with the reserves. Now the reserves were having um, quite a campaign. So again, I signed like 40 players or whatever, which is a lot of players. Um, so I ended up having an okay reserve league team, not a great one. So it was better than theirs basically, and I ended up kind of just thriving off draws. Nobody was dominating this league. Every reserve team was kind of equal. So I just not losing, like never fucking up enough to lose, but like also not being very convincing. We got equalized on the 93rd here. We got equalized on the 93rd here. So as you could tell, we were also a little thorough in some matches. This nil-nil, I think we had way more XG. Like we were kind of just cruising, trying to do things, and it was working. We were nearby. I think by this point, Rangers, which was the Rangers reserved, were near us. We were like tied on points because we had drawn a lot, so we had lost a lot of points. But we managed to call it back. Hold on. So yeah, when we managed to win this match, we got into the lead by like 3 points. And then there were not really that many more matches in the league. A lot of them, you see, friendlies were played because there's how much time that you win, you draw. Here, there are a few important wins to get ourselves distant. Now, I believe by here, this North District friendly, yeah, what I started to do was, yeah, we were 3 points ahead in the reserve league, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna field my main team for the reserve league. So that's probably kind of what threw this a little bit, because I was like, okay, um, so but there weren't really that many matches in March. There were just the Sapling Cup match, which we were already knocked out of, right, and one North District match. So like, I was just like, all right, there aren't that many matches. There's four more matches. Let's just play the main team in this tournament and beat the reserves. Now, it actually ended up being a little weird because I think the other teams also, as a response, played a bit of their main team. So it ended up becoming like a pseudo first division. But that way, we managed to clutch up with the main team, get the wins we needed. This draw, we were confirmed champions of the reserve league. And yeah, if you notice, other than friendlies, which we lost, we actually ended up going undefeated in this reserve league, which is the only trophy that the reserves in Hong Kong play. So nice to have cleared that away. We don't need it anymore. Nine little, nine wins, nine draws. North District was the next one. I'm sorry, I think Rangers were on top, but they aren't anymore. So yeah, that was interesting. And then the under 18s. Now the under 18s are a mess because basically there's the under 18 Premier League, which is just the Premier League, right? But under 18 teams, and they have a season. And then there's the under 18 league, which is very different. Basically, how the under 18 league works is there are how do I 8 groups of all sorts of teams in Hong Kong, including the big boy teams, right, and some amateur sides, second division sides, which don't form players in FM, which means that they're just empty teams. So there's a little bit of an easier trophy. But now how this works is that first place goes into the first division, second place goes into the second division, and everybody else goes into the third division. These are placement groups. So we ended up winning it very close by. We had 2 draws that were both against fake players. That was a little tough. Um, so we almost threw that, but we managed to get first and go into the Division 1. Now, here in the Division 1, this was super close. Um, as you can tell, this is fixture congestion central because they need to play the Under 18 Premier League in the last few months, which means this is just condensed in a few months. This is normal FF. Multiple times. For example, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Like, really, we need to play on all these days. And here, this was mainly easy because the teams we faced weren't that good. There were North District and Hong Kong FC, which were a little challenging because those are real teams. And then there was Lee Man. Now, the Lee Man under Heat, these were good. These were just good. Um, and they were able to win also almost every time. Now, here, this was a mess because we had just played a Sapling Cup match the day before. So here, there's a little bit of a disaster where we're just tired, so we can't win either match. We lose this heartbreaking, and here we're just too tired. But we managed to eventually crawl ourselves back. Lee Man had a few kind of throws. Honestly, threw a few points after we drew them. And we managed to, pretty legendarily, as they lose the final game of the season. Yeah, Lee Man United lost the final game of the season, and with a 6-0 win, we can crawl ourselves over. We never beat them. We never managed to beat those teams. We drew to them twice, at least. And no, we drew to them. Yeah, we drew to them twice and lost to them once. Um, so we never beat them, but they just threw points at other places, and we managed to win by 1 point, and we managed to win the Division 1. Now, The Division 2 also has a trophy. So we will be aiming for that in the current season. And then the Division 3s don't have a trophy though, because this is divided into two groups and nobody ends up winning a trophy. As you can tell, it just kind of ends like this. So nobody wins a trophy. Oh well. So I go to the past. Um, like you see, nobody ends up winning a trophy. This was us before we existed, before we took over. Um, so yeah, that was just the issue. After that, we ended up playing a lot of under 18 Premier League. These matches were more spread out, so we were able to almost win them all. But here's the deal: at the beginning of the season and in the middle of the under 18, you see, we lost matches because we were kind of throwing them. I wanted to leave the trophy behind. Now, I was able to pick myself back up with all these wins in a row, but again, Lee Man, dude, we couldn't beat Lee Man, and then we had a few draws, unfortunate draws, right? This one where we get equalized from being 3-1 up. Like, it's two unfortunate draws, and in the under 18 Premier League, we are currently not, we weren't able to win. We were 4 points behind Lee Man. If we had won both those matches, we would have been able to, but um, it just wasn't quite able to be, which fair enough, considering our team was mostly not real players. Most teams were real players. Or I guess it was just like whatever their youth academy formed the year before, which didn't mean they were good players. It just meant they were players, you know? So yeah. Um so we managed to win the under 18 Division One and we managed to win the Reserve League. So with those two trophies, I have now loaded for this season. The first two divisions of Northern Ireland. I want to lower the third whenever we win another trophy because I think it's a nice low level league that I think I can get access to. There's a lot of side trophies, right? With regional cups that are in the British Isles. So I was like, yeah, we can load that. We still need to load the third division, and I still am curious. If you're wondering, I after our reserves team won, I let go. I ran down the contract of all of them. So that means that now we are not over the wage budget anymore. And this season is currently going pretty well. We have managed to hold out some players, most of them foreign, so there's a little bit of a mess happening. As you can tell, there's a limit of 6. Yes, this is 8, but most of them are in the midfield, so I'm kind of just managing to roll around. And also, I think England and India doesn't count as foreign because Britain or something. So yeah, these are mostly from agent suggestions. And again, even a not great Brazilian wonder kid will do wonders here. So you can tell not a great, not like that good, but he does what he needs to do for this division. Um, and yeah, we managed to get ourselves some okay results. Sapling Cup didn't start off great. Hopefully, we can turn that around. Senior Shield, um, which we finished in the final last time. Here we started from the first round, but we managed to win dominantly 5-1 and 4-0 against Rangers. This was a pretty impressive result with a 4 goals by one guy. Considering Rangers are currently, I believe, top of the Premier League. I'm not sure why, but they built a pretty good team. The reserves are surprisingly enough this season still playing fine. They were started off pretty badly and then they got into the swing of things. And then under 18s, this season started off better. We haven't lost a match in the Premier League yet. We're getting a few draws because again, the schedule, dude. The schedule that the under 18s play here, that's completely organic. Again, this is Stock FM. It's an absolute nightmare, dude. Like, what in the world is happening here? And yes, we did manage by losing this match to Kitschy. Not necessarily on purpose, and this draw, which sucked. By the way, I didn't want to draw this match. This match was like entirely throwed 5.41 XG, and they have 0.8, and it ends up 3-3. Like, what the hell? But yeah, thanks to these two results, which I didn't intend, I was just like, okay, let's win these two matches. We managed to win them. Um, and we ended up second, which is exactly where I wanted to be because I don't want to win the under 18 Division 1 again. but I would like to win the under 18 Division 2. So I managed to squeak my way to second, and now we're in the Division 2, which hopefully we can win. There's a few complicated teams, Resources Capital. They have real players because they are a top division side. So with I think the Hong Kong under 22, they have been relegated, but they had real players, which means they still do. Um, and no, not South China, but yeah, that is the current state of my little FM save. Hopefully, I can load up. Hopefully, I can win some trophies. Hopefully, I can get further into the world. Oh, and I forgot to point out, I also did one coaching bat, not too many, because I don't want to get sacked because there really weren't that many jobs available, and I wanted to win a trophy. There is also the little rule I came up that I cannot leave a club unless I win a trophy, which is why I was especially worried to not ask for coaching badges and Ramzan sacked me because I need to win a trophy. I managed to win a trophy. I can officially escape this club, but there's some trophies in Hong Kong that I still believe are winnable. So hopefully we could do it. All right.